I'm telling you right now, when we go back and look back at this time period 50 years from now, it is going to be text messaging, the iPhone, it's going to be bottle service and social media. Those things changed the dating lifestyle.
The social construct.
It changed the entire social construct of the country. It's really weird. So you guys have to understand, before 05, the world is different. You remember, because there was no MySpace or Facebook. Before 05, the world was different. In fact, before 04, there was no text messaging or HDTV or bottle service. We didn't have nightclub where girls had sparklers. People forget. Me and my friends were trying to remember, when did bottle service start? And we couldn't remember. Now, in Europe, it had started far before it started in the US, but it started kind of the 03, 04 time period with some clubs in New York. I think Jason Strauss had something to do with it. And then it started taking off around the country, where you could sell a bottle that would cost you $50 for $2,600. And then you would make, all of that was a markup.
Well, no. Okay, because no. Because I was the operating, I ran what was deemed by Esquire magazine the #1 nightclub on the East Coast of the United States.
Okay.
And that was Cobalt Lounge, before where Ray Lewis had his mishap during Super Bowl 2000, right? And we were at that point. Yeah, you know what? I think you're probably right, because I want to say that we were selling bottles, but we weren't. What we would do is, on Sunday nights when Jermaine Dupri would have his party, we would auction off bottles of not Vouv. What am I thinking of? Cristal.
Cristal.
Yeah, but way before we would auction off the Cristal. So yeah, you're right. We didn't have it then.
Yeah, because some bright guy realized what we're selling is real estate. What we're not selling is actually the bottle. But the bottle is the ticket to the real estate, but the real estate is the dance floor table.
Yeah.
And when that happened, everything changed. It was a common. I'm telling you right now, when we go back and look back at this time period 50 years from now, it is going to be text messaging, the iPhone, it's going to be bottle service and social media. Those things changed the dating lifestyle.
The social construct.
It changed the entire social construct of the country. It's partially to do with the increased divorce rate. It has to do with people cheating. It has to do with the fact that 6 out of 1,000 women are getting married now. Everything goes back to those things I just mentioned. Yeah. And it's just social media, obviously more. Social media would be 75% of it all by itself. Yeah. But it's such a massive amount of stimulus. Anyway, go back to what I was saying. I started DJing at a strip club in 2000. And when I was there, this was the first time that I actually saw the difference between, it was one of these situations where every man goes through this.
Sure.
This is what women are telling me. Yep. And then this is what women are doing. And being in the locker room.
And you literally got to see behind the curtain.
Be in the locker room at a strip club. And these girls were like my friends. Like, my money depended on them being happy, them showing up on time. There was no sexual flirting. It was very much I was an offensive coordinator. That's the best way to a DJ at a strip club is an offensive coordinator. It's the best way to describe it. And I did this for 4 years. And then they made, I had a business degree. So they made me the manager of the club. At one point, I was one of the managers. And from there, I learned what massive difference in leadership. I know it sounds crazy because I'm talking about strippers, but you're seeing some of the worst, most irresponsible humans you've ever met, and trying to motivate them is fucking hard. In the Marine Corps, if you're they take the guy who's the most irresponsible and they make him the squadron leader. Sure. Yeah, that's one of those kind of things. And it was like you're just kind of learning these things. 9/11 happens while I'm there from 01 to 04.
Where was this?
This was Austin, Texas. Okay, it's called the Red Rose now. It used to be called Expose when I worked there. And then I worked at Palazzo, and then I worked at Sugars in Austin. And then I watched 9/11 happen, and I knew immediately I was going to join the military. I just saw it as soon as the towers came down.
Real quick. You know what's so funny about that, dude, is because in another life for me as well, I was a pretty high ranking officer in the Hooters of America company.
Yes, Hooters of America.
And even when I was at the store level as a GM, when I was at that level, like, I would meet guys and they'd be like, "Dude, you're so lucky, man. You got the best job in the world." And I'm like, "Okay, you want to know what it's like to be me?" And they'd like, "What?" I'm like, "Okay, go back to your hometown in your head." They're like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Okay, remember that girl, the one prom queen? Remember her?
Yeah.
All right, now multiply her by 50 and now tell her no all day. That's what I do for a living. Yeah. You really want that job?" And how many people thought you just had the best job in the world? And you're like, "Bro, you have no clue."
It's so like leading a group of very qualified, like my company now, Men of Action, we only hire the best. We had 800 people apply to do sales for us, and we've hired 1% of them. Yeah. And the guys we have are super A players. I mean, this is Delta Force, Navy SEAL level, highest quality individuals that come and work for us. And then working in the strip club, it was like none of that. There was no qualifications. You're dealing with someone who has like no level of responsibility, and no one's ever told them no before. And so it also, when you go back to Hooters, you're talking about Hooters 20 years ago. Hooters 20 years ago is very different from Hooters now.
Oh, dude, it was like a fraternity. No, this was Hooters 30 years ago.
Hooters 30. So here's another thing. Remember, Hooters 30 years ago, there's no social media. When Hooters some of you guys will not believe me when I say this, but John will attest to this. When Hooters first opened, the hottest girls in your city worked at Hooters.
All of them.
All of them. Yep. Because people were not, strip clubs were still considered to be seedy back then in the 90s. There was no social media, and girls were like, in we didn't have bottle service in nightclubs. So you didn't have a bottle service waitress making $200K a year back then. So the best gig you could get, and there was no OnlyFans, the best gig you could get was to work at Hooters. Once those other things started coming, like once strip clubs started turning into steakhouses and like pseudo nightclubs, and once social media came out, and then once girls started to be able to make money as influencers online, then Hooters just like they do not have the hottest girls.
Good luck.
Not even close now. And that's the main difference.
Hooters in 20 years.
Yeah, that's what happened. But people don't believe me. Like, dude, the Rhino before social media came out was insane. I
can only imagine,
bro. Dude, before. I can't even describe to you. Like, I remember the 100 hottest women I'd ever seen in my life. And I've been to the Playboy Mansion several times. 75 of them worked at the Rhino. It was the crazy. Now it's not to knock the Rhino. I love the Rhino. Rhino's still the best strip club in the world. And Sapphire, probably one in 1A right there. And I will tell you right now, like, it's not like that anymore. Like, there's all kinds of girls, but back then it was just crazy. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is, you start learning these things about dynamics. I joined the military, and then it's the complete opposite. Now I'm dealing with very responsible people. I'm in a flying squadron. I'm flying a KC-135 Stratotanker as a navigator, and I have a troop of men that work for me because I'm an officer, and I also start working in counterintelligence. So I start doing all these things while I'm in the military, and it's very structured for me, and it's something that I needed. I needed that level of structure. So there's two opposite sides. Just imagine managing a strip club, and then I'm an officer in the military.
Good luck.
Right. So it's like, it's these two, I'm just being molded from two different sides, if that makes sense. When I get out, I wanted to do something that was very not military-like. So I was going to move to LA, and I was going to go work for a talent agency, and I was going to try to book talent, and I was going to try to act. I was going to do both of those things. I was going to acting classes, whatever. And I found out what a lot of people who live here in Las Vegas find out, which is Los Angeles sucks. It's a terrible place to live. They take all your money. The standard of living is low. The cost of living is high. The taxes are outrageous. There's homelessness and crime everywhere. It's whatever you guys think of LA, it's actually worse. It actually is. There's no pretty girls there. I know I'm going to say this, and it's going to blow people's mind. The pretty girls live in Bel Air. They live in Anaheim. They live in a few of them. They live in Temecula.
Not Hollywood.
They do not live in Hollywood. A few of them. A couple. There's some girls up in like maybe Encino and NoHo, but those are porn stars. There's no hot girls in Los Angeles. I know you guys are going to think I'm full of shit. I'm telling you, it's true. Santa Monica, yes, definitely Santa Monica. Palisades, yes. Malibu, tons of hot girls. Los Angeles is more dangerous than Baltimore. It is crazy how bad Los Angeles is now. So I got fed up with it. I'd say 2012 to 2014, I was doing the LA thing, quit, and then I just full-time Las Vegas. And when I was here, I started working with a nightlife, like event promoter. And it was great because I was like an intern for them, and they helped me skip several levels. So instead of going from like low-level promoter, which I was never a promoter, but like those guys are kind of at the bottom of the barrel in a nightclub, right?
Well, it's like John Gray will tell you getting stuck to George's hip at the Palms when they first
There you go. So you understand. John's great. John's dating my friend Jamie, and like I got to meet him for the first time in Dallas. He's great. He's in real estate now. Dude. John, so in that kind of situation, so you're with these, I'm interning with these guys, and they show me how to throw these events, and I'm watching them do it. The problem is with them, the other promoters that I met and all the VIP hosts in the city is they treat women like cattle. They literally treat women like their currency, and they treat them like cattle. And I just came up with this idea one day, and I was like, I remember being in the strip club when I was working at the strip club, and there was this one day where one of the girls had her birthday party, and I was like, well, and I used to be the head door guy at this one nightclub, and all the staff went to another nightclub, and it was the new nightclub in Austin, Texas. This is
Austin.
Yeah, it's Austin, Texas. So this would be, let's say 2002, and this is like Congress and 6th Avenue. So it goes Congress and 6th Street.
Okay.
And so we go to this nightclub, and I show up with 10 girls, and they're all the strippers that work with me, and they're there for a birthday party. And I remember just thinking, I'm not trying to, I had a girlfriend at the time. I wasn't like trying to hook up with any of them. And I just remember women coming up and talking to me and like constantly, the hottest girls that I didn't even know. I showed up with 10 girls and even more girls came up and like wanted to know who I was. And I was like, there's something here. I don't know what this is, but it seems like when I'm around a bunch of hot girls, more hot girls want to talk to me. And I kept that thought for like 20 years. And then in 2015, I'm at a party with Ty Lopez. And this is the first time I ever met Ty. And me and Ty are good friends now. And Ty, he explains to me, he shows me his book list. And in his book list, there's these group of books by a guy named Dr. David M. Buss from the University of Texas at Austin. He has a undergrad from Harvard and a PhD from Berkeley.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I need to learn about, he teaches this thing called evolutionary psychology. In evolutionary psychology, there's these two theories. One of them is called sexy son's hypothesis, which is the concept of if you see a man and that man, if a woman sees a man and that man has attractive traits, the woman wants to mate with him subconsciously, totally under the radar, subconsciously, not covertly, but subconsciously wants to mate with him because of our hypergamy algorithm. And so that she can get those genes in her children, so her children will have more children. And the second theory is called mate choice copying, which is the concept of when women see men with a lot of women, then they want to be around that man. And that's not just with Homo sapiens, that's with primates. We've seen that with avian, we've seen that with birds. They've done it with geese, where they've actually put in stuffed animal female geese next to a male and the other females want to hang out with them. They've done it with rodents. It seems to be something with like vertebrates. When females see a male surrounded by women, they want to be around him. And then we call it the what's it called? Like you go see your favorite boy band and then all of a sudden all the girls are screaming. Yeah. Women are like turned on by hearing these other women scream for this individual. So I was like, this concept of mate choice copying, I was like, what if, this is a crazy idea, what if there was a way for me to get hundreds of girls to go to events with me, but I was never an asshole to them. I didn't have to act like a narcissist or a psychopath or anything like that. I didn't have to act like Machiavellian, but I just generated attraction by maintaining masculine frame, maintaining my boundaries, and then having tons of pre-selection, or what we refer to as mate choice copying. Would that work? That was a hypothesis I had in 2011, and I've tried it for the last 12 years, and I could tell you unequivocally, the answer is yes. You can absolutely generate massive amounts of attraction with women and actually get a lot of women to comply to like do whatever you, to go to the events that you want, help support your charity events, whatever. You can get them to do that by using those ideas.